So be number one in your field, live your legacy, and create maximum impact. Don't play small. The beautiful thing we had going for us is we had already, on our own efforts, gotten to all the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, USA Today list. So we had a lot more power in negotiation going and talking to these. But Warner Books helped take us, and in fact, the story that it was just sometimes that, the universe conspires to support you. We were in the final throes of deciding who to go with and when we wanted to go, and when we got the call from Oprah Winfrey.
Wow.
And so based on the association and the knowledge and the discussions that we had, Warner stepped in, Warner Books helped us print and distribute 350,000 copies of the book within a few weeks. Everybody watching right now or listening, you probably had something that stopped you in your tracks. We're not supposed to outlive our children. Could have been a death, like it was in my case, or an illness, or a financial setback, a divorce. And certainly in the last few years with the pandemic, a lot of people, your life have changed very dramatically. But I went into what I call my world of numbness, living in neutral. I'd always played a big game, as I've just shared with you, with the big players, but I started playing really small. When you're worrying, you're concentrating on an outcome you do not want to happen. And so you're attracting it. And so now when I still get into my worry storms, but I stop. I go, okay, Sharon, stop focusing on what you don't want. Let's start focusing on what I do want. And it's magical. All of a sudden, you're seeing the possibilities, not the obstacles. And incredible things can happen.
Sharon Lechter, welcome to the podcast. You are the author of countless books: Exit Rich, 3 Feet from Gold, Think and Grow Rich for Women. You were CEO of Rich Dad Poor Dad organization. We're talking millions of books sold, I think 30 million plus. But you're truly an entrepreneur with a passion for teaching kids financial literacy in schools. I think the work that you've been doing is fantastic. You've been creating maximum impact, and you're a blessing to so many lives around the world. So thank you for coming on the show and being with us today.
Well, it's my honor, Tim. Thank you so much. I've seen some of your episodes are great. So thank you. Appreciate being part of it.
Oh, it's a blessing. Like this is a moment for me. Sharon Lechter on the podcast. We are going to make history. This is amazing. Can you just talk us through, just to journey back, your story? Like, how did you get started in all of this? I mean, I know you had a big realization age 25. I don't want to spoil things, but like, just to take us back, I think that would be great to set the context.
Sure. Well, obviously, I've been around a long time, so I'll try and give you my Cliff Notes version. I was the first generation of my family to go to college, but I lived in a little tiny house between my mom's beauty shop and my dad's used car lot. We owned rental property. So I've been in real estate investing since I was 10, because I used to have to go scrub out the bathrooms between tenants. And my friends, their parents were CEOs or military officers, and I swore I never wanted to be an entrepreneur. I always look and see what someone else is doing. And so that's why I went to college, got my degree in accounting. I was one of the very first women in public accounting in Atlanta, Georgia. And I thought I was pretty hot stuff, young, single, Atlanta, having this great career. And about the ripe old age of 25, as you mentioned, I realized that I wasn't in control of my own life. I was in control of my schedule. I was working incredibly long hours. And all of a sudden, my parents started looking a whole lot smarter. And I got a phone call from a client inviting me to join him. He was buying a company out of bankruptcy to kind of fund a new technology he had. And I remember going back to my condo, and at that time it was before PCs and certainly before cell phones. And I had the old yellow legal pad, pros and cons. Didn't help me a bit. I could argue both sides. Still very fast track in my career, kind of a pioneer for women, and this opportunity to own a piece of the business. My hand kind of took off across the top of the page and wrote, why not? I share that because that's still my philosophy. Why not? Why not do something different? Why not travel the road less traveled? Why not make your own path? Why not solve a problem and serve a need? And all of those questions come to the heart of an entrepreneur. And at 25, I made that decision, and it was the worst business decision of my life, but I don't regret it for a moment. I got there and found all kinds of corruption in the accounting part of the company, and very quickly realized that I was risking my own CPA certificate, which I had just gotten it. And so I ran away for a couple of days to figure out what my next step would be, and came back and met a young attorney, because of course in bankruptcy there was a lot of litigation around, and that young attorney was Michael Lechter. And we are celebrating in another week, we're celebrating 42 years of marriage. So I always tell people, Napoleon Hill said, out of every adversity comes a seed of an equal or greater benefit. My worst business decision gave me my best life decision. And 9 months later, we were married and had kids, and I started doing all kinds of different things. My kids didn't like to read. When a dear friend of mine had invented the first talking children's book, the books that had the sound strips down the side, and I helped him take that around the world. Parents didn't know who we were, and kids at that time, I know dinosaur day, didn't have technology. And so we aligned with little companies like Disney, Warner Brothers, Sesame Street, Marvel Comics, and exploded that company around the world. And that was my really first deep dive into book publishing. I had built and sold a woman's magazine before that. And then that's when I actually moved to Arizona 31 years ago. And my oldest son went off to college in September, came home in December in credit card debt. I was so mad at him, but I was more mad at myself because I thought I'd taught him about money. And I realized when he got to college, he was greeted with these tables, he and all the other young students, with free pizza, free money, free t-shirt, free money. And he had a really good time his first semester in college with all this free money. And then he realized when the bill started coming in that it wasn't so free. And that was December of 1992. And that's when I dedicated the rest of my career to financial literacy, financial education, and entrepreneurship education. And I'm as passionate about it today as I was in December of 1992. Started working with school systems. At one time, my hair was red. If you ever worked with schools, that's why it turned white. And then fast forward a few years, my husband called me. He had this guy come in to visit him, Robert Kiyosaki, to talk about patenting a board game. So I met Robert at a beta test for his board game, and I loved it because it was the same philosophy and teaching that I was doing. So I volunteered to help him commercialize it because of my background with the talking book and games. I had the connections and the systems. And during that process, he told me he wanted to charge $200 for the game. I said, that's pretty pricey. Maybe you should write a brochure that kind of describes what the game philosophy is that would encourage people to invest in the game. And that's when he asked me to be his partner. And I helped him write that brochure called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. We never expected it to take on a life of its own, but we published Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and it's been over 25 years. I can't believe it. In April of 1997, never expecting to become a book company, but that one book became 15. I was Robert's partner. We were equal partners, but I was also CEO of the company and helped build that around the world in over 100 countries, over 50 languages. So it was quite the journey. And in 10 years into this, we were kind of, our missions were no longer aligned. He wanted to go into franchising. So I made the decision to leave Rich Dad. And that was right before the economy crashed. And when Napoleon Hill Foundation found out that I had left Rich Dad, they called me. And what an incredible honor, because I read Think and Grow Rich when I was 19. But they wanted to reinvigorate Napoleon Hill's teachings during that financial crisis. So after having built the largest personal finance brand, to be asked to step into the world's largest personal development brand, it was such an honor. And with them, I wrote 3 Feet from Gold, some of the ones that you mentioned, Outwitting the Devil, Think and Grow Rich for Women, and Success in Something Greater. And then my most recent book, Exit Rich, is with Michelle Sawyer-Tucker and Inc. magazine, talking about how to really build your company foundation up so your successful company can be scalable and saleable. And so that kind of brings you full circle to all craziness. I also worked with 2 presidents in the United States on the topics of financial literacy. So.
Oh my goodness. What what a journey. What a journey. That is incredible.
And that was the Cliff Notes version.
That's just the highlights. Yeah, how quickly you've gone through. That's amazing. Thank you for taking us through that. I think there's a few things. I mean, just to unpack parts of that you've taken us through. I think the first thing is knowing when you're doing something, I guess, out of integrity. And obviously the combo there is that you're big on financial literacy. You want people to be able to make their own money, have assets, be able to thrive and prosper. And yet knowing when you've got to do the right thing for you and potentially close a certain door. Can you just go into what that brought you in a bit more detail and how that works?
Well, I think, I challenge people all the time. Is there a door you need to close for other doors of opportunity to open? Because sometimes you don't even have those doors open for you because you're so set, you have blinders on in the life that you're living. And when you're not happy and you're not content and you're not feeling, that you're in alignment with your personal mission, you have to make that step. When I made the decision to leave Rich Dad, we were at the height of our success, millions of dollars every month. But I was not aligned with Robert. I did not agree with the model that he wanted to do with franchising. And so I knew I had to stand in the truth and who I am and what I believe in. And I still wanted to continue producing affordable financial literacy products. So I made that decision to leave. And it was not easy. I walked away from millions of dollars a month, but I think I never looked back. I never regretted it. We ended up, totally at each other's at odds, and we were in litigation, but a year later he settled. And so we were able, I knew I made the right decision. And during that process is when I got the call from President Bush. So I tell people sometimes you have to make the tough choice for other things to open. I would never have gotten the call from President Bush had I still been at Rich Dad. I would never have gotten the call from the Napoleon Hill Foundation had I still been at Rich Dad. So you have to make choices based on who you are and what you believe in, and trust that if you're standing in integrity and in your mission, doors will open.
Fantastic. And that can be quite hard as well, right? Especially when you're staring at literally millions and millions and millions of dollars every month, and yet you believe deep down. What is then your personal formula or equation for success, and how does that feed into decision making?
Well, I think we released a personal success equation. You can go to personalsuccessequation.com in my first book with the Napoleon Hill Foundation. So you can imagine there was a lot of passion into that book based on where I had just come from. And the personal success equation is your passion and your talent. All right. So my passion actually came from anger that we weren't teaching kids about money. You hear the phrase, do what you love and love what you do. Well, mine actually came from anger. And my talent was years as an accountant and years in publishing. And most of us stop there. We think we have to do everything on our own. And true success comes from you combining your passion and your talent with the right associations, having the right people around you, people who want you to succeed, people who support you, having people on your team who are strong where you're weak, having the right partners, having that mentor. So I use this equation with all of my mentoring clients, having the right mentor, having people support you. Don't try to do it on your own. Business is a team sport. And then times A is the next element, and it's action. How many times do we know what we're supposed to do? We just don't do it. We're lazy or we're indifferent or tomorrow, right? And so true success comes when you have that passion, that talent, you have the right people around you, you take the right action. And then there's plus F, faith in yourself, faith in what you're doing, faith that it will be successful. And that faith for so many people is really fear. And that's what keeps us from taking the action. That's what keeps us from surrounding ourselves with the right people. And that fear is debilitating. And I want to help people get rid of the fear. Fear either paralyzes you or motivates you. And I want you to turn it into motivation, into energy, to keep moving, to go through those blocks, to find that next association, to continue moving forward. Because when I'm mentoring somebody, I go through that formula with them, and it's usually they've had a successful company and then they've plateaued. And it's usually their associations. They haven't continued growing and expanding their associations, and the fear that's held them back. They really go hand in hand. When you have the right people around you and you have a bad day, they won't let you stay there. They'll lift you up. And so it's really important to look at that formula and say, what do I need to do to get myself out of this funk? And as I said, if you go to personalsuccessequation.com, I have a workbook for you to do your own personal success equation that will help you identify that next step that can get you back to that next level of success that you deserve.
Wow. And I think everyone should do that. They should take action right now to go to that website and to download that workbook, because I think what you're saying here is really, it's all about each of these components, and you've got to have them all, especially the action and the faith piece, to be living a life that you're proud of. And so you talk a lot about the power of association. I would love to dive more into that, just because I know how powerful that can be, and how specifically how that has linked to the success that you've had within each of the different businesses that you've been involved with.
Well, absolutely. I mean, when I first started a woman's magazine, that was before the Talking Children's book, we brought in some celebrities to be on the cover. That's the power of association, right? When I built the children's book, in order for us to grow quickly, because parents didn't know who we were, we did a licensing arrangement with Disney, Warner Brothers, Sesame Street. You elevate your own authority by aligning with others with authority. All right. Just as when you're interviewing somebody of power, you elevate yourself when you do that. And so it's a very important thing. And each step along the way, when we launched Rich Dad, we were doing lots of interviews, and we published the original 3 books out of my company. My husband and I owned it, so we could control it. But we immediately saw the need to align with more horsepower, because we couldn't meet the demand of selling enough books. And so that's when I interviewed the top 5 publishing. But the beautiful thing we had going for us is we had already, on our own efforts, gotten to all the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, USA Today list. So we had a lot more power in negotiation going in and talking to these. But Warner Books helped take us, and in fact, the story that it was just sometimes that the universe conspires to support you. We were in the final throes of deciding who to go with when we wanted to go, and when we got the call from Oprah Winfrey.
Wow.
And so based on the association and the knowledge and the discussions that we had, Warner stepped in. Warner Books helped us print and distribute 350,000 copies of the book within a few weeks, because of the association and the trust they had in us. And as we completed the deal with them, because they knew that we were trustworthy. And that launched an incredible relationship with Warner Books, now Hachette Books and Grand Publishing, lots of different names along the way. But then when we knew we needed to do an infomercial. I personally can't stand infomercials. So it's like, oh, okay, put your business hat on, Sharon, not your personal hat. But I said, okay, if we're going to do it, I want to do it with a company of the highest integrity. And Time Life, all right, the top of the top, stepped in to do the infomercials for us. And we ended up being the top infomercial for a couple of years. When I was looking for coaching, I didn't want to build it myself from inside. It takes so long to build it in-house. So I went out to find one of the top coaching companies where we would own our lines. They would be Answered Rich Dad Coaching. We could train dedicated individuals that would do our coaching, but we would be utilizing the systems of this company. And so all of those things are everything I have ever done in my life. My success has been by finding the right people, having the right butts in the right seats, having the right alignment of people, and having mentors and having people help us direct. Because when you have the right mentor, they steer you around the pitfalls. They help you accelerate your success because they've been there, done that. And they can open the doors and introduce you to people. And that's one of the reasons I love the one-on-one mentoring that I do.
That speaks to my heart. That really does, like, especially around like what you've given there is people a roadmap, but also within that formula, they've got to take action to reach out, to think bigger, to go and approach those people that they know, if they align with those people and start thinking in that way, start thinking about, I want to align with the biggest, the best, the highest brands of quality, the highest people that I know are doing the things that I want to be doing, who have gone where they've already gone. And I can see that from their own experience, and then take that step to how does play bigger feed into that?
And sometimes I take a step back because I want to highlight something. When I made that decision to leave Rich Dad, I realized that that could impact my personal brand, because I thought my legacy was Rich Dad, and that's why I looked at what else can I do to align my reputation and my experience outside of Rich Dad. And so when I got the call from President Bush, that certainly elevated me above it. And then I had found the foundation, but I opened up my mind, my subconscious, to looking for things that would elevate me and support my personal brand, as well as that I had established as part of the Rich Dad organization. And so you really want to look at that every step of the way. And then, as I continued building the Napoleon Hill Foundation, and I loved what I was doing. I was traveling all the time, but almost 10 years ago now, I lost my youngest son. And everybody watching right now or listening, you probably had something that stopped you in your tracks. We're not supposed to outlive our children. Could have been a death, like it was in my case, or an illness, or a financial setback, a divorce. And certainly in the last few years with the pandemic, a lot of people, your life would change very dramatically. But I went into what I call my world of numbness, living in neutral. I'd always played a big game, as I've just shared with you, with the big players, but I started playing really small because I didn't have the same passion. Right. I didn't have the ups. I still just had the lows. Right. And I made the decision about 6 or 7 years ago that I was going to probably just retire, because I wasn't getting the same passion. Got a lot of pushback from family and friends. And I actually think I heard my son in my ear saying, "Get over it, Mom, there's more for you to do." And so I made the decision to play big again. And I thought, well, Facebook was just kind of on the rise. And I said, I don't want to do this alone, because if it happened to me, it probably happens to a lot of people. Something happens in your life and you just kind of stop. And so I launched a private Facebook group called the Play Big Movement. And it really was to share the things that I was doing, but also to give a platform for people to reach out and say, this is what I'm doing. I want to play a bigger game. And it was shortly after that I opened myself up to the possibilities again. They were always there. I just couldn't see them because I was looking down in grief. And shortly after that, I was asked to be highlighted in the Think and Grow Rich legacy movie. I was asked to be highlighted in the World's Greatest Motivators television show, and so on and on. And it's just all those things happened because I made myself open to the possibility. So I want everybody watching, listening. Sometimes there's a door in your life you need to close for other doors to open. And when you find yourself looking down a lot, you're closing yourself off to those possibilities. Let's get rid of the blinders and start playing big again, because you all deserve, people need to hear from you. If you've gone through something, you're still here. Just like my son said, you're still here. You're still here for a reason. There's more for you to do. And there are people who can benefit from hearing how you survived whatever you went through. And so that's my message today, is no matter where you are in life, today is the beginning of the rest of your life. And you have the opportunity to take the things that have happened to you, the way that you've responded, the way you survived, and share that with other people.
Thank you for sharing that, Sharon. Like, you've literally touched thousands and thousands of lives just sharing that piece. It resonates deeply with me. And I know there are a lot of people that will resonate with that message and will be able to move forward and to look up now and to align themselves, right? To start seeing the world with the eyes of possibility. Like you said, literally, your legacy was wrapped into this business that wasn't then going in a direction you wanted to go into. And how do you untangle yourself, trust and have faith that the things are going to fall into place? And as you said, like, you start literally attracting those things because it comes from within you, and how you're subconsciously priming yourself to be able to see those opportunities. And then suddenly the president is calling you saying, hey, I want you on my team to do these things. Like, that's massive. That is massive. And you opened up that door. And then again, going through adverse experiences, like an emotional impact, something really, really massive. And then again, being able to coach your own self through that and find that, no, the world wants me to do more. People want me to do more. People want me out there shining my light. I really want to talk about your work with women and why you wrote Think and Grow Rich for Women, and the voices, the differences potentially, or the voices that inside a woman's head that they have that around self-confidence, self-doubt, and your passion for that movement.
Well, thanks, Tim. I think, for most of my career, I really resisted doing something specifically for women because I felt like I made it on my own. Before the even term glass ceiling, I was in the industry. And then I started realizing that even though the steps to success are the same, and I do believe they are for men and women, we approach them very differently. And I started seeing things that were holding women back, that lack of self-confidence you mentioned. And in fact, the first line of the book, why a book for women? Because they are, the steps are the same, but our approach is very differently. And I had actually gotten to the point where I was frustrated with women. Women were complaining and criticizing about the men in their way, the men holding them back. I'm going, stop it. If you are a student of Napoleon Hill, we talk about positive and negative. Law of attraction, right? So if you're out there spewing criticism and complaining, what are you attracting? Nothing good, negativity. So I said, stop complaining and criticizing about the men in your way. Start celebrating the progress women have made. Is there more progress to be made? Of course, but let's celebrate how far we've come, and let's celebrate the men who have supported us and been there along the way. And then what are you going to attract? Positivity. Because your mind cannot hold positive and negative at the same time. And if we focus on all that's wrong with the world, we've got blinders on. Let's focus on all the things that are positive, and let's see how we can take that next step and understand that women do have a different philosophy. The original Think and Grow Rich is a lot about money, right? And I changed my definitions in Think and Grow Rich for Women to include money and significance and impact, because a lot of women are interested in making a difference. And yes, we want to do well financially, but the financial goal is not the most important thing. It's the impact goal. And it's very important. The other reason I wrote Think and Grow Rich for Women is I was really tired of this work-life balance stuff. Now, being a very early woman in business, I made choices, and it was difficult. But we have so many aspects of our life other than just work and life. We have family, we have our faith, we have our finances, we have our physical being, we have every aspect. And so I wanted women to stop worrying about work-life balance, because there is no balance. Maybe in the yoga studio, but we are always either moving forward or back or sideways. We're always in motion. And so accept that, and the fact that if you didn't spend time with your kids yesterday, make a different choice today. Don't spend precious time today lamenting or worrying about something that happened yesterday or something that may or may not happen tomorrow. And I speak from the heart on this because I'm a champion worrier. I'm the best. I was raised by the queen of worry. But I had a definition about 10 years ago that changed my life, and I shared it around the world, and I keep getting people calling me and sending me things. The definition of the word worry is to pray for what you don't want. Just think about it. When you're worrying, you're concentrating on an outcome you do not want to happen. And so you're attracting it. And so now when I still get into my worry storms, but I stop. I go, okay, Sharon, stop focusing on what you don't want. Let's start focusing on what I do want. And it's magical. All of a sudden, you're seeing the possibilities, not the obstacles. And incredible things can happen.
I love that. I love that. I love that you went there. I also love that you talk about impact. And I think, can you just stay on that topic a little bit more, just so that people can really understand? Because we are taught to chase the dollar. We are taught to do everything to get the money. And yet I know that what you're teaching is the right way, the way underneath the way. And it's sort of like getting people to really grasp what that means about impact and how that will bring success into their lives would be so incredibly important.
Well, thank you, Tim. Yeah, the whole concept behind my Play Big movement is to be number one in your field. I mean, work for excellence, live your legacy. Your legacy is not when you're gone. You create your legacy every single day with every heart you touch. So be number one in your field, live your legacy, and create maximum impact. Don't play small. You have a gift. There is only one of you. You are perfect. God created you to be you, and you have a gift to share. And don't pull yourself down. Become your own beacon of light. So many people, certainly in the last few years, they go, I see the light at the end of the tunnel. I go, stop it. That means you're waiting for someone else to bring the light to you. No, stand tall, become your own beacon of light, and you will attract others to you wanting to light their lights from you. But you are perfect just the way you are. I have a program called ATMs. When this whole pandemic started, I was just frustrated with all the negativity. And usually when I get mad about something, I do something about it. So I started a daily message of positivity. And it's called Daily ATM, take off of the bank, but abundance, tips, and mentorship. And it's about really starting your day with something that's positive so that you get your subconscious working and seeking publishing. You can go to atm.sharonlechter.com. But it's something that is I've just done my 800th one. So it's kind of fun. But it really is a challenge to me also to start my day with that positive message and to know that we have a choice. And every one I do every single day, I have the listeners say with me, I am fabulous, because we have a choice. We have money, and we make it, we lose it, we can make it back. But when you lose the opportunity, when you lose the day, you don't get it back. Time is our only precious resource. And so it's so important for you to say, okay, what am I going to do to fulfill my destiny? Am I going to let life pass me by? Or am I going to invest my time? I talk to people all the time. Are you spending your time or investing your time? When you spend your time, it's gone. When you invest your time, you're buying, building, and creating assets, which is what I teach, that will generate income that will give you your time back in the future. And so you build this wealth of assets and let them become your employees working for you.
Sharon, I love this. I love this. This is so good. This is the stuff that everybody should be doing and listening to and getting stuck into. They should definitely go check out your website. They should read all of your books. But like, this feeds as well into that aspect of your mantra and why not, and taking, like, you are a beacon of light. I can see that. Like, people can touch you and get light for themselves, but like you said, it's already within you. So let's go shine our own lights and let's make the world a better place. But how does why not, and I love your mantra, why not? Because my mantra is believe it is possible. That's my mantra. It's always going in, and I've seen things happen but I love your mantra of why not.
Well, I think it really is. It's truly still is my mantra today. It's like, why not try something different? We tend to sit in our little comfort zone, and life can pass us by. Challenge yourself. I always follow up the why not with, when was the last time you did something for the first time? Think about it. All right. So many times we live our life by rote. Every single day is like yesterday. And we get into these routines. And I go, shake it up, shake it up. When was the last time you did something for the first time? Even if it's just taking a different route to work, whether it's, just to experience something different, to really trigger that creativity. Because so what in our life, so many times our creativity starts getting sad, because if you think kids, when they're little, they're playing with blankets and they're creating forts and castles with pillows and towels, and they go to school with crayons and blocks. Then all of a sudden they're being taught to conform, because obviously in a society we need some conformity, but that creativity starts getting challenged. And we end up getting out of school or college, or we get into a career, we get comfortable, and then we get complacent doing the same thing every day. And then what happens is we're thrown into a crisis happens, kind of like the last few years, and we're in chaos. And how do we get out of that chaos? By becoming creative again. And so, like during the pandemic, I would challenge people: are you really truly sitting on your couch watching Netflix? Or are you saying, okay, I have this time. How do I want to redefine my future? What can I do? How can I become creative and how to utilize my life and do something different?
Right. Yeah. Really seeing the opportunity that's in front of you and forcing yourself to do that different thing so that then you become different. You've changed it. So then you get the result. Your imagination starts really pulling into new ideas and getting you to be fully expressing your own self. Great. Absolutely great. How does that then apply to the game of business? And like what I specifically mean and what I love about what you teach is new revenue streams to actually create expansion, like not just putting things on credit cards and not just moving in that direction because you think it's an alignment, but actually how does this feed into the game of business?
Well, I think, business has changed over the years, and, most of my entire career, I have been dedicated to education, not getting into selling business models or anything. And with the pandemic, I realized that people just need answers. They need things to try. And so in the last couple of years, I saw that you had done an interview with Glenn Sanford. My husband got his real estate license. We got involved in EXP because I believe in the model. So many real estate agents make a lot of money, but they don't reinvest it in themselves. They don't understand it. And so the model of the EXP allows you to build personal wealth. And that's I want to help insurance agents, real estate agents, people understand how to move from the left side of the cash flow quadrant as an employee or self-employed to the right side of the cash flow quadrant, being business owner and investors. And so their model is really great. So Micah and I got involved in that. And we're helping people really turn and create their personal wealth through that model. In addition, a couple of young men that I coached years ago built a brand called Ula, which is ooh la la, the French word. And it is really goes back to my one big life as opposed to work-life balance. It's based on online, customized, IA-driven goal setting and achievement. It's gamified, and it's in the 7 F's of your life: fitness, finance, faith, family, friends, field, your business, and fun. And it allows you to go through and assess your goals in each of those categories. And then it goes through and helps you prioritize what you want to focus on. And what I love about it is a daily reminder of you to continue working on your goals. And it's really magical, the growth I've seen in the people that have come to work with us. And it's very inexpensive, but it makes it fun. It makes you focus on what you want out of life, not what somebody else wants for you, but what you want out of life. And it delivers you specific content that's dedicated to the goals that you've set. And these guys are just brilliant. And I'm so happy to help support them in growing this business. And anybody that wants more information on that, just reach out to me, info@sharonlechter.com, and I'll be happy to share it with you. But it's, those two elements I changed the way I did my business because I felt those things were ways for people to not only improve their own lives, but to start building and impacting others as well. It's a revenue model that you can use the curriculum just for yourself, or you can become part of it and share it with other people and create your own passive income stream.
Beautiful, beautiful. I mean, that's what it's all about. There's assets that are generating you revenue while you're sleeping. So in terms of the passion around financial literacy in schools and kids, where are we on that journey, and what needs to be done?
Oh, so far from where we need to be. And it's not just the US, it's all over the world. No matter where I go, no matter what language they speak, people want their children to be successful. And we are not teaching our children about money in school, and we need to be. It's a tragic, tragic thing. We have quite a few states have now brought in financial literacy for high school graduation, but not enough. And there's personal finance education and there's entrepreneurship education, and both need to be taught. And that's something that I'm still screaming from the mountaintops, and it's something we need the parents and interested adults to take the battle home and to their school systems and demand that it be taught. We're teaching our kids about nutrition. We're teaching them about condoms, but we're not teaching them about money. And, people say, well, I don't want my kids to get greedy, but they're going to turn greedy if you don't understand. They understand the spending power at a very young age. What they never learn until they're adults is the earning, what you have to do to earn it, and the power it has when you reinvest it and create assets that generate income. Wow.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. It's changing it at the grassroots levels, but the message really goes back home. It's to the parents. We've all got to speak together to then get schools and the systems to change. And I know I can see, and through this interview, you've talked about things that you're angry about, and you take that passion and you put it into doing something about it. And I think that's really a message that others can grab onto in this interview. So Sharon, literally, you've been putting down gold, not just in this interview, but throughout your life. And I love that you've continued. You're a beacon for change. You're a champion to go out and do what you've done in so many aspects of these different assets, but also from that impact, that place of value, that place of serving others. Where can people find out more about you if they haven't figured it out already on this call?
Well, thank you, Tim. I would love to hear from everybody. You can find Sharon Lechter at sharonlechter.com. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook. I have both my fan page and my personal page. Fan page is author Sharon Lechter. There's a lot of fake accounts out there, unfortunately, but find me and then reach out to me. Email me. I say this all the time and people seldom do, but email me, info@sharonlechter.com. You'll actually get a response. We want to hear from you. We want to support you. And of course, you can check out the personalsuccessequation.com as well. We'd love to hear from you and support you. I'm dedicated to supporting you. People, back Tim, a lot of people have been asking me, why are you still doing what you're doing? It's starting to give me a complex, but I love what I do. I love what I do. And it's when I have people, reach out to me and say that they've paid off a credit card or they've just gotten out of debt. That's why I do what I do. And I want to support everybody creating that next best opportunity for yourself, taking your business to the next level. Let's see your business go, 10x, 100x and create a larger impact. Not just the money, but the impact.
You're truly an inspiration, Sharon. Thank you from me to you. It's been a moment for me. It's such a joy to talk to you. And
thank you, Tim. And, on my website, sharonlechter.com, there's more information about our programs and about my mentoring program. So feel free to reach out.
I definitely think everyone should. I think that should be an action point that people take when they've listened to this. Just jump off now and go take that step. Go do something about it. Go reach out to Sharon and make it happen.